You know what fascinates me? The fact that we're living in the most incredible time in human history. Never before has knowledge been so readily available, so accessible, so abundant. And yet here's what's interesting. Most people aren't taking advantage of it. Isn't that remarkable? Let me share something with you that my mentor Earl Show taught me years ago. He said, Jim, success is something you attract by the person you become. Now let me ask you this. Who do you need to become to attract the success you desire? The answer lies in daily education. Not just formal education, though, that's important too. But the kind of education that transforms your life hour by hour, day by day. You see, everything in life is about sowing and reaping everything. You can't escape this fundamental law of the universe. What you plant today, you harvest tomorrow. But here's the key. You've got to plant something. Most people are waiting to harvest when they haven't planted anything. Isn't that interesting? Let me tell you about two people both work at the same company. Both have the same opportunities. Both have 24 hours in their day. One goes home and watches television for 3 hours. The other goes home and reads for 3 hours. Now, after a year, would you be surprised if their lives took completely different directions? Of course not. That's the power of daily education. Now, some people say, well, Jim, I don't have time to read. Really? You don't have time? Let me tell you something. Don't ever say you don't have time. Better to say it's not a priority. At least that's honest, because if you can't find 30 minutes to read something meaningful each day, you're not serious about changing your life. I'm not being harsh. I'm being truthful. Here's what's fascinating about personal development. It compounds just like money in the bank. Knowledge compounds. But unlike money, nobody can steal it from you. Inflation can't touch it, and it pays dividends for the rest of your life. Isn't that remarkable? Let me give you a formula that changed my life. Maybe it'll change yours too. Here it is. Your income will rarely exceed your personal development. Write that down. Your income will rarely exceed your personal development. If you want to earn more, you've got to learn more. It's that simple. You know what's interesting about successful people? They have libraries. Poor people have big screen TVs. Now, I'm not against entertainment, but I am against letting entertainment rob you of your future. Think about it. How many books did you read last year? How many seminars did you attend? How many meaningful conversations did you have with people who could teach you something valuable? Some people say, well, Jim, I've already read a lot of books. Let me ask you this. How many times have you watched the sunset? Does it get old? Of course not. Every sunset is unique. Just like every time you read a good book, you get something new from it. Why? Because you're different. You've grown. You see things you didn't see before. Let me share with you the 5 key areas you need to study daily. Write these down first. Your craft. Whatever you do, be a master at it. If you're a salesperson, study sales. If you're a teacher, study teaching. If you're in business, study business. Be so good they can't ignore you. Second, communication. Learn how to express your ideas clearly and persuasively. Learn how to listen effectively. Learn how to ask better questions. Your ability to communicate will determine much of your success in life. Third, relationships. Study human nature. Learn what makes people tick. Learn how to build and maintain meaningful relationships, because here's what's fascinating. Your network determines your net worth. Fourth, finances. Learn about money. Learn how it works. Learn how to make it, how to keep it, how to invest it. Financial ignorance is not bliss. It's dangerous. Fifth, and perhaps most importantly, philosophy. Study the big ideas, study history, study the principles that govern human behavior and success, because here's what's interesting. Success leaves clues. Now, let me tell you something powerful about daily education. It's not just about acquiring information. It's about transformation. When you study these areas daily, something fascinating happens. You begin to think differently. And when you think differently, you act differently. And when you act differently, you get different results. You know what's remarkable? Most people never give themselves a chance. They live the same year 75 times and call it a life. Don't let that be. You make a commitment right now to educate yourself daily. Let me give you a simple strategy. Start with 30 minutes a day. That's it. Just 30 minutes. Read something meaningful. Listen to something valuable. Learn something new. Do you know what happens in 30 minutes? You can read 20 pages in a year. That's 7,300 pages. That's about 24 books. Do you think reading 24 good books might change your life? You better believe it will. Here's another fascinating thing about daily education. It changes your conversation. Instead of talking about the weather or complaining about politics, you start having meaningful discussions. You start attracting different people into your life. Why? Because you become more interesting. You have something valuable to contribute. Let me share something else. My mentor taught me, he said, Jim, don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better of it. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Isn't that profound? And how do you get better? How do you develop more skills through daily education? You see, everything valuable in life requires cultivation. Your relationships need cultivation. Your skills need cultivation. Your mind needs cultivation. And cultivation isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Some people say, well, Jim, I'm too old to start learning. Really? Let me tell you something. You're either green, growing, or ripe. And rotting age has nothing to do with it. I know people in their 80s who are vibrant, curious, and constantly learning. And I know people in their 20s who have already decided they know everything. Guess which ones are more successful? Here's what's interesting about knowledge. It's like a forest from a distance. It looks overwhelming. But when you get up close, you realize it's just individual trees and you can tackle one tree at a time. That's all you have to do. Tackle one subject, one book, one idea at a time. Let me give you another powerful concept. Write this down. What you don't know is more important than what you do know. Why? Because what you don't know is what's holding you back. The skills you haven't developed, the books you haven't read, the connections you haven't made. That's what's keeping you from your next level of success. You know what's fascinating? The same wind blows on us. All the same opportunities are available to everyone. But some people set their sails differently. Some people position themselves differently. And it all starts with daily education. Let me tell you about the power of incremental growth. If you improve just 1% every day in a year, you'll be 37 times better. Not 65% better, 37 times better. That's the power of compound growth. But it only works if you're consistent. That's why it has to be daily. Here's another key principle. Learning without action is entertainment. Write that down. Learning without action is entertainment. You've got to do what you learn. You've got to test it, try it, implement it. That's where the real education happens. Let me share something else that's fascinating. The highest paid people in any field are usually the ones who know the most. They've invested in their education. They've developed their skills. They become valuable. And here's what's interesting. They never stop learning. You know what else is remarkable about daily education? It builds confidence. Real confidence, not the fake kind that comes from positive thinking, but the genuine confidence. That comes from knowing you're prepared, knowing you've done your homework, knowing you've put in the work. Some people say, well, Jim, education is expensive. Let me tell you what's expensive. Ignorance is expensive. Lack of skills is expensive. Not being prepared is expensive. Education is an investment, and it's the best investment you can make because it pays the highest dividend. Let me give you another formula for success. Write this down. Your life will be determined by the books you read and the people you meet. That's it. The books you read and the people you meet. So make both a priority in your daily education. Here's what's fascinating about reading. It gives you access to the best minds in history. Think about it for the price of a book. You can access the wisdom of someone who spent their entire life figuring something out. Isn't that remarkable? Where else can you get that kind of return on investment? Let me tell you about another powerful aspect of daily education. It helps you develop better questions, and in life, the quality of your questions determines the quality of your answers. Most people ask lousy questions like, why me? Or why is this happening? Better questions would be, what can I learn from this? Or how can I use this? You know what else is interesting about daily education? It helps you develop what I call refined knowledge. Anyone can have information, but refined knowledge, that's different. Refined knowledge comes from studying, thinking, applying, and experiencing. It's like the difference between coal and diamonds. Same basic material, but one is much more valuable because it's been refined. Let me share something else. My mentor taught me. He said, Jim, don't let your learning lead to knowledge. Let your learning lead to action. Isn't that powerful? Because knowledge without action is like having a bank account, but never making a withdrawal. What good is it? Here's another fascinating thing about daily education. It helps you develop wisdom, and wisdom is different from knowledge. Knowledge is knowing what to do. Wisdom is knowing when and how to do it. And you can only develop wisdom through consistent study and application. Some people say, well, Jim, I'm just not good at learning. Let me tell you something, that's just an excuse. Everyone can learn. Everyone can grow. Everyone can improve. But you've got to be willing to do it daily. You've got to be willing to make it a priority. Let me give you another powerful concept. Write this down. Your income is directly proportional to the value you bring to the marketplace. And how do you increase your value through daily education? Through constantly improving your skills, your knowledge, your wisdom. You know what's remarkable about successful people? They're always learning. They're always growing. They're always seeking new knowledge, new skills, new perspectives. They understand that in today's world, if you're not growing, you're dying. Let me share something else that's fascinating about daily education. It helps you develop what I call strategic ignorance. That's the ability to ignore what's not important. Because here's what's interesting. In today's world, the challenge is in finding information. The challenge is knowing what information to ignore. Here's another key principle. The more you learn, the more you earn. Write that down. The more you learn, the more you earn. But it has to be the right kind of learning. It has to be focused. It has to be strategic. It has to be daily. Let me tell you about the power of specialized knowledge. General knowledge has value, but specialized knowledge has premium value. And here's what's interesting. You can develop specialized knowledge through daily education, through focusing on specific areas, specific skills, specific problems you can solve. You know what else is remarkable about daily education? It helps you develop better habits. Because success is not about doing extraordinary things. Success is about doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. And that comes from daily practice, daily learning, daily improvement. Some people say, well, Jim, I don't know where to start. Let me give you a simple formula. Start with yourself. Start with your own industry. Start with your own problems. Because here's what's fascinating. The solutions to your problems are in books that have already been written, in seminars that are already being taught, and people who have already figured it out. Let me share another powerful concept. Write this down. Your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow. Isn't that interesting? Your future is created by what you do today. And one of the most important things you can do today is commit to daily education. You know what's fascinating about knowledge? It's one of the few things in life that multiplies when you share it. When you share money, you have less, but when you share knowledge, you actually gain more. Why? Because teaching others helps you learn better. Let me give you another key principle. The quality of your life will be determined by the quality of your questions. And daily education helps you develop better questions. It helps you think more clearly. It helps you see opportunities others miss. Here's what's remarkable about daily education. It helps you develop what I call intellectual capital. And intellectual capital is more valuable than financial capital. Why? Because financial capital can be lost, stolen, or devalued. But intellectual capital only grows in value. Some people say, well, Jim, I'm too busy for daily education. Let me tell you something. You're either busy building your dreams, or you're busy building someone else's dreams. Which would you prefer? Let me share something else that's fascinating about daily education. It helps you develop better judgment. And in life, your success will be largely determined by the quality of your decisions. Better education leads to better thinking. which leads to better decisions, which leads to better results. You know what else is interesting about daily education? It helps you develop what I call creative intelligence. That's the ability to see connections others miss, to solve problems others can't solve, to create value others can't create. Let me give you another formula for success. Write this down. Your life will be determined by the problems you solve. And how do you solve bigger problems? Through daily education, through constantly improving your problem-solving skills. Here's what's fascinating about success. It leaves clues, and one of the biggest clues is this. Successful people never stop learning. They never stop growing. They never stop educating themselves. Let me share something else my mentor taught me. He said, Jim, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Isn't that powerful? Because if you work hard in your job, you can make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you can make a fortune. You know what's remarkable about daily education? It helps you develop what I call strategic patience. That's the ability to wait for the right opportunity. Because you know you're prepared. You know you've done your homework. You know you've put in the work. Some people say, well, Jim, I don't have the money for education. Let me tell you something. There's never been a time in history when education was more affordable or more accessible with the internet. With libraries, with podcasts, with YouTube, you have access to more knowledge than kings had just a few generations ago. Let me give you another powerful concept. Write this down. Your income will rarely exceed your self-image. And how do you improve your self-image? Through daily education. Through constantly expanding your knowledge, your skills, your capabilities. Here's what's fascinating about knowledge. It's the only tool that gets sharper with use. The more you use it, the more valuable it becomes. Isn't that remarkable? Let me share something else that's interesting about daily education. It helps you develop what I call intellectual momentum. When you learn something new every day, it creates momentum. And momentum is powerful. It helps you overcome obstacles. It helps you push through difficulties. You know what else is remarkable about daily education? It helps you develop better standards, because once you know better, you do better. Once you learn more, you expect more from yourself and from others. Let me give you another key principle. The biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. Write that down. No matter how good you are, you can always get better. And the way to get better is through daily education. Here's what's fascinating about success. It's predictable. If you do certain things every day, success becomes predictable. And one of those things is daily education. Some people say, well, Jim, I tried reading books before, and it didn't work. Let me tell you something. Success is not about trying. It is about commitment. It's about doing something consistently daily, whether you feel like it or not. Let me share another powerful concept. Write this down. Your future is determined by your philosophy. And how do you develop a better philosophy? Through daily education. Through constantly exposing yourself to better ideas, better thinking, better strategies. You know what's remarkable about daily education? It helps you develop what I call strategic optimism. That's not blind optimism, but optimism based on knowledge, on preparation, on capability. Let me give you one final thought about daily education. It's the key to freedom, true freedom. Because when you educate yourself daily, you develop the ability to create value. And when you can create value, you have options. When you have options, you have freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, make a commitment today to educate yourself daily. Don't wish for a better life. Create one through daily study, daily practice, daily improvement. You know what fascinates me about commitment? It's a decision made once, but acted upon daily. When you commit to daily education, you're not just making a decision about today. You're making a decision about your future, about who you're going to become. Let me share one last story with you. Years ago, I met a young man who was broke, discouraged, and didn't know what to do with his life. Someone gave him a book, just one book. He read it. Then he read another. Today, that man is worth millions, not just in money, but in influence and wisdom and the ability to help others. That's the power of daily education. Remember this, life will pay any price you ask of it, but you've got to ask. You've got to prepare. You've got to become valuable. And it all starts with the decision to educate yourself daily. Thank you for your time. God bless.